Shalom all. Good morning. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at www.koshertorah.com. I'm bringing to you today the third lesson in our daily Sefer Yetzirah series, which we are dedicating at this time in our present curious state of affairs in the world today, to the speedy recovery of all those who are ill, and as a blessing for all those who are concerned about illness. May God protect us all, and of course speedily bring an end to this and all other illnesses and diseases which are affecting us. May God bless us all with appropriate wisdom, understanding, intelligence, and of course, amongst all, calm, that we can focus to do the right things. With that, let's dedicate some small time here to the study and understanding of deeper teachings of our Holy Torah. We're learning in the Sefer Yetzirah commentary written by Rabbi Chaim Vital, which brings us the Torah, the Kabbalah of the Ariel. In this lesson, we are continuing our discussion of what the text calls the 32 wondrous paths of wisdom. And we defined between what we call the 10 Sefirot and the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. And we've discussed that the relationship between these two is that relationship between what we call body and soul. Reb Chaim goes and discusses a little section here with regards to the Zohar and refers to the 10 Sefirot by the term Amiran. Amiran is the word for sayings. You remember in the Bible when it says that God created, he said, let there be, and there was. What's the relationship between the two? What was said is, if you will, the idea, the thought, the energy, the, in quotes, spirit, which then materializes into the form, the structure, the material world around us. That is the foundation of the relationship of what we call, of course, body and soul. In Kabbalah speak, this is also the relationship between the two realms of the mind, which we call the Sefirot of hokhma, binah, or if you will, intuition and intellect. Now, this is a very, very important concept for us to understand in our highly, overly rational world today. It has been the foundation of Western civilization for over a century or two now, to be overly rational at the expense of the spiritual. Now, everybody acknowledges spirit. We all say it is, we exist, we acknowledge its existence and the like, but no one really bothers to ever experience it anymore. We always say we have to be rational and grounded down to earth. Indeed, that's the foundation of our KosherTorah School, where in which, if you look, my motto is making the mystical rational. But at the same time, that doesn't mean to emasculate, to chop off the spirit, the mysticism, and to turn it into just a philosophical pursuit. No. Spirit is a living, vibrant entity of life itself, of consciousness, of soul. We referred to this in our previous classes, the foundation and cause of life itself. So this is that saying or speech which God puts into what we understand as the forms of creation. It is, of course, a danger today when people maybe will acknowledge this by word, but not in deed. You see, just like you have fundamentalists of every religious persuasion whose didactic method of understanding is it's my way or the highway, this is the only way reality is. And of course, we have those of the Jewish faith, Christian faith, Islamic faith, and others. Believe it or not, even of the secular and the atheist points of view, you have fundamentalists who are equally black and white. Yeah, that's right. The atheist fundamentalist, the rationalist fundamentalist, is just as black and white as any other religion. And when you try to, interact and dialogue with them, and sometimes you might see comments on Facebook and the like, you recognize that these aren't individuals willing to dialogue. They're only willing to preach. Well, that's that rigidity of form which denies the inner spirit, the inner movement of things. Body and soul. Intuition as a living, vibrant force is what is so ideally real. Even Carl Jung in analytical psychology, states how important to understand the nature of that which we call spirit, which is the vibrant flow of things in life. Now, not only is this a concept of mind and consciousness, look at what's happening in our world right now. We live every day by what is called a normalcy bias. We expect tomorrow to be pretty much like today, and we kind of go through life on autopilot. Well, now we are in a period of significant and serious disruption. Things are not the same. Thank God this is not the apocalypse. This is not the end of the world, but it is a significant and serious global disruption from normalcy. Things are not as rigid as we want them to be. They're right now in a state of flux and fluidity. And just like anyone who has any kind of a martial arts background and recognizes the concept of what we call in the Chinese, at least, qi, we recognize that there has to be a flow of things. In the Hebrew, we call this, of course, ruach, the spirit of things. So our 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet come to represent physical form, and the 10 sefirot amiran, that which is spoken, the spirit which enters into the form. It is the relationship of the two, body and soul, and therefore enables us to understand that the actual structure of the universe isn't this rigid form created by or sustained by our normalcy bias, but rather things are fluid. And under the period of this modern crisis, the wisest words are, of course, go with the flow. Just trust in God. And as I write in my comments on Facebook and my emails to our KosherTorah students, you do what you need to do. Trust God will do what God needs to do. Don't forget what you need to do, though. Don't expect God to do that which you need to do for yourselves. You do what you need to do, God does what he needs, and the whole world, the spirit and the physical, the 10 sefirot and the 22 letters, everything works, and we have the pure heart, the lev, the wondrous flow of energy as we need it to be. With that being said, let's continue now into our text. I paraphrased a little bit here, so I'm just going to skip to the next topic. Now let's describe why these 32 paths are called in Hebrew a Nativ, which is the singular for Netivot. V'hu, and the reason is, Kihine, Halev Netivot, these 32 paths, Hem Kab Otiot, Ve'esa Amiran Keniskar, they're the 22 letters, and the 10 sayings, as we have said. V'ha'eser Amiran, and these 10 sayings, Hem Bechinat Haruach Dizah, they are the spirit, the soul, if you will, of Zer Anpin. Remember, Zer Anpin is called the small face of God. Remember when Moses in the Bible asked God, let me see your face? And God responded, no man can see my face and live. Why? God's face is what? So terrifying, so scary, drop dead? No. We human beings living in this construct of the 22 letters, this physical world, are aware of the realm of the spirit, but we are not necessarily able to grasp everything in it. And even above that which influences us, there are higher, and higher grades. So for those people who do practice involved in in-depth meditations, of course, we have our own courses here at our KosherTorah School in these areas for those who are interested. But we're not the only ones. Other religions, other faiths, of course, have been practicing these things for millennia. You become aware of and sensitive to the existence of higher domains of consciousness, reality, fluidity, and the like. And we can't grasp them. We can't see them. Many of these we can symbolically refer to as the face of God. So, we recognize that in our limited human state, we can only see to a certain level. That level we call the, in quote from the words of the Bible, the backside. In the words of Kabbalah, this is called the small face of God. In Aramaic, from the language of the Zohar, small face is Ze'er Anpin, usually written short as Zayin Aleph Za. That spirit, these Amiran, this entire world as we understand it, is a reflection of God to us. The Hebrew word is partsuf, which means a mask. A mask is something somebody sees from the outside. So what we see of God is that element or expression of God that we're able to see and understand. And again, when we go into the depths of the spirit inside the form, we have great spiritual enlightenment and awareness, etc. And that's, of course, what we endeavor to share and give people the opportunity to experience for themselves. So, the Kab Otiyot, the 22 letters, are hereby called vessels. So you have the spirit and the vessel, body and soul. That's what we're talking about. These Hem Kulam, and these all together, you have 32 mentions of the name Yud Ke Vav Ke. This is corresponding to that level which we call Abba, Father, or the Spirit hokhma. Hem Mitlabeshim, and they are cloaked in the 32 mentions of Ima, which is the name Elohim. And this is the secret of the 32 mentions of the name Elohim in the creation story. Very interesting concept. We know God said, let there be, and there was. Throughout the story in Genesis, the name of God is called Elohim. Elohim is the God that creates the physical form of nature, right? The Hebrew word Elohim, numerical value, gematria, is hateva, nature. But what Reb Chaim is saying to us is, within everything there is spirit, that life force energy. If you remember, we discussed in our previous class a quote from Robert Lanza's book, Biocentrism, how life itself is the foundation of everything in creation and the cause and the purpose of, if you will, even evolution. Well, that is the Sefirot, the Amiran, coming into the form. We refer to the relationship again as Abba and Ima, father and mother, intuition and intellect. So right now, while you have, for example, scientists around the world who are seeking the cures for this virus and for whatever else is going to come in our future, you can rest assured that they're using their intellect and their rational mind as best as they're able. But everyone, I'll bet, will acknowledge that there's some essence of intuition, some eureka moment where in which somehow something pops into their brain from God only knows where and guides their thoughts. Happens with us all the time. Why do you think it doesn't happen with the discoverers of science and technology? Of course it does. That's the way we call the spirit world enters into the physical world. In Kabbalah speak, we refer to the spirit world as Abba, Father, and the intellect as Ima, Mother, represented by the names of God in the Bible as Yud Ke Vav Ke, the realm of spirit, Elohim, the realm of form, Father, Mother, Havaya, Adonut, Elohim in this respect. This is that relationship which we refer to here. So the Lab Netivot, Lamed Bet 32, mentions of the name Yud Ke Vav Ke, are cloaked within binah, as we said, and that is the appropriate way for it to be. Now, what exactly is this Nativ? A Nativ, as opposed to the Hebrew word derech, all right? Nativ and derech both mean a way. But a derech is actually a wide walked public path, whereas a nativ is a single individual path. The concepts of intuition and intellect, father, mother, Yud-Ke, Vav-Ke, Elohim. Okay, we understand the concept, but how do we experience it? How do you and I realize this in our individual lives? Well, the answer is very simple. Your way and my way are going to be uniquely different, just like you and I are individuals and uniquely different in our personalities and lifestyles. Yes, like the spokes that go around the circle, all focused to the center of the wheel. Each and every individual perspective is different. There's a saying in, I believe it's the Psalms, Rov Am Hadrat Melech, in the multitude of the people is the glory of the king. Today, we cannot have large gatherings because of the fear of the spread of a virus. But just because we are not gathered together physically doesn't mean we can't be gathered together spiritually, emotionally, and other ways. Thank God we have the wonders of modern technology. Whereas right now, I'm sitting here in my office in Knoxville, Tennessee, making this recording for you, and around the world throughout time, we're all connecting as if we are really together. And the answer is, I should say, because we are all together. No one is alone. We are bonded as one, maybe not in the physical, but in that which transcends the physical, that which we call the spiritual. So the Nativ is that unique path which you yourself must discover for yourself. Because as the name Yud-Ke Vav-Ke enters into the name Elohim, this is the great pronunciation, the proclamation, of course, the Torah Judaic faith, that Yud-Ke Vav-Ke Hu Ha-Elohim, that the spirit realm is that which permeates the physical. And the physical realm and limitations of what we understand as nature is not just black and white, but there are multiple shades within. Life itself takes its forms. So as we are faced today with the challenge of our normalcy bias, when we are faced and challenged today with all of our disruptions, that which we call spirit will guide you individually into what is right for you to know, what is right for you to do this day. And it will bring to you revelation and insight to materialize to you greater depths of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, which is going to enrich and better your lives. So we could look at what's happening right now as a global disaster, or possibly as a global opportunity for growth and wisdom. So of course we focus on healing, health, and prayer, but at the same time, self-betterment. So this is what we must understand from the concept here. Let me just read this next line here. I got to pick up where it starts here. So that which we understand here, ikar kol pu'ula, there we go. The ikar of the essence of all of what we're talking about here, pu'ula is the actions, if you will. Shinit galeh b'ma'aseh bereshit, everything that's revealed to us in the discussions of Genesis, the creation story, is from the power, the force of what he calls here the 248 parts of the body. Remember we said how the human body is said to symbolize or be represented by 248 parts. Well, we apply that same metaphor to the entire universe. So those 248 parts, of course, symbolic of the positive commandments of the Torah. Again, symbolic, please. Don't try to get rational and literal here. These correspond or come from the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. And then within them you have the koach of the ruach hayim, the power of the force of life itself, the spirit of life, which are the 10 amiran, sayings, which themselves are the 10 sefirot, that which we call ruach, the soul. So let me conclude here on that note in this little lesson and share with you again, recognize body and soul. There is a real life force energy going on. It's within us. It's within you. Discover your personal Nativ today and see the light that God, the universe, has for you. All right. Ariel Bar Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at KosherTorah.com. Wishing everyone safety, healing, well-being, good. See you all in our next class. Shalom.